Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of All the WrestleManians podcast. I'm your co-host, Tim Hackman.
And I'm your co-host, Rich Sigwald.
We're thrilled to be back in the studio with you. We hope you enjoyed our recent episodes. We talked of WrestleMania 3 with the guys from the Turtle Wars podcast. That was a lot of fun. We thank them again for joining us, and check it out if you're so inclined. We got two shows to talk to you about today. We're going to run down just the latest WWE Elimination Chamber, which happened just a weekend or so ago, back on February 18th. And then we're going to go a little bit farther back. We're going to go all the way back to April 24th, 1983 to talk about the AWA Super Sunday show from St. Paul, Minnesota. We're continuing our trek through the early days of Hulk Hogan, sort of the rise of Hulkamania. You might have caught the show from Madison Square Garden where he first took the belt off the Sheik. Of course, WrestleMania 3 being sort of the pinnacle of Hulkamania, probably. And this show is really his first AWA belt win, I believe. Is that correct, Rich?
It is the second.
The second one. Okay.
So he doesn't win the title either time. He gets screwed both times. So,
and we'll talk about that for sure. But anyway, it's old Hogan stuff. And it's fun, so we want to talk about that for sure. So I think we want to just, like I said, want to start with the latest Elimination Chamber. I think we both watched it on the Peacock.
Yeah.
Did you watch it? Did you watch it the night of, or did you watch it later?
I did. I watched it live all the way through. I was really proud of myself for that.
Wow, that's very retro of you.
Yeah, and I want to say that it's probably the most enjoyable WWE premium live event that I've watched in several years, outside of like some of the NXT shows. They're getting something right over there with these shows. I don't know what it is. It didn't feel like it dragged like a lot of their shows typically feel like they drag.
Yeah.
We're going from match to match. We were getting good summaries of the stories without being like, oh my God, come on. I've watched Raw every week. I know. Though I haven't watched Raw every week, I know. The big takeaway for me is just like watching Roman Reigns get better and better at being a heel and drawing heat and storytelling. This Sami Zayn, Bloodline, Kevin Owens stuff, man, it's getting to me. It gets me. This is like the best thing I've seen in wrestling in a long time, this whole angle here, and it's really impressive to me.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, actually, and I would agree with you. This is one of the better PLEs, formerly PPVs, that we've seen in quite a while. I think Royal Rumble was pretty disappointing, mostly nonsensical, kind of predictable. This one had a lot more, I don't know, just a lot more highs, a lot more drama. It was also relatively short, which I appreciated. It kind of moved along at a pretty good clip. So this is, just let's get the stats out of the way. Elimination Chamber 2023, February 18th from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And the Bell Center attendance is 17,271. There's no pay-per-view bias report anymore because that's not really a thing. You watch it on the Peacock, or you watch it the night of, or you watch it the next day. I watched most of it the night of, and then we got to the main event, and it was getting late, and it'd been a long week. I'm like, I got to watch this tomorrow. So I did. I went back and watched it tomorrow, but I stayed off of Twitter until I had watched it because I wanted to, I didn't want any spoilers.
I had just found out that a good friend of mine had died earlier that day. And so that helped. This show definitely helped just like get me out of my head for a little bit and just like watch other people's drama happening. So that was, it's funny how wrestling can kind of do that for you. And it did it for me that night, even though it was WWE and new stuff too.
Yeah.
But WWE needs to have like all of their shows in Montreal.
Oh my God, that crowd was the hottest crowd I've seen in a long, long time. Like,
yeah, I mean,
since the Raw era, like the
Attitude
War era, yeah.
At least the Attitude Era.
They were
like
fucking fired up.
Oh my God, everybody was pre-gaming.
Start to finish, yeah.
They were singing and like in key, in unison, singing. Like, oh my God, like they were insane. There was good, like they believed it was all real. They were into it. They were booing the heels. They were cheering the faces. Like, And then it doesn't hurt that Sami Zayn is from there.
Yeah.
So
There
that
was
definitely helped things.
pretty spectacular "fuck you Roman" chant that went
Yeah.
on for a significant portion of that final match. I loved
Yeah.
that. That was great.
Yeah.
Everybody's throwing down the Molsons, before they get into this one and some of that Labatt's Blue.
Yeah.
I don't the low point for me actually was the Bobby Lashley Brock Lesnar one. I actually caught a little nap during that. I slept
Yeah.
for about 5-10 minutes and I felt great and I was able to stay up through most of the rest of it.
Yeah, there's no denying that match was kind of boring, but I think I mean, I knew it was going to end in disqualification. It had to, because that's a WrestleMania caliber match to be happening on Elimination Chamber right before WrestleMania. Of course, you DQ them and
Yeah.
have Brock Lesnar go crazy about it or something like that, and they can have a blow off at WrestleMania, hopefully in a cage or a cell,
Yeah.
because that's how you settle it. All right, no disqualifications, but there's a cage too. You can't get away. That's
Yeah.
how you settle this feud.
You definitely don't blow off all your heat a month before, right?
No,
And then try to try to find somebody else to wrestle Brock Lesnar next
not when you're
month.
about to have like a stadium filled with like 70,000 people, and you're going to blow off Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley in front of
Yeah.
17,000 in Montreal a month before.
Yeah.
No, you're going to have a disqualification. You're going to move on.
Yeah. So in addition to the main event, I think we both really liked the men's Elimination Chamber match. And we were sort of messaging back and forth about that. And I think part of what made it awesome is like there's a lot of the real superstars from a couple of classes of NXT ago.
Yeah.
Before NXT kind of got fucked up. But Austin Theory, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, I could take or leave. Montez Ford is really good. Seth Rollins, I could also take or leave at this point. And I mean, those guys really went at it. That was a half-hour match, but there was a whole lot of action, a whole lot of drama, a lot of back and forth, some really spectacular stuff, but nothing. I didn't feel like there was anything that was over the top stupid,
Yeah, unlike the women's Elimination Chamber match, they were not going just from spot to spot to spot. There was a whole much more natural flow to the match. I like Johnny Gargano. I liked his bluey themed wrestling gear for the night in honor of his kid. I like I was excited to see Bronson Reed. Letting Bronson Reed go that one time was a huge mistake that they made, I thought. I think he's a future big man, main eventer. I know you're tired of Seth Rollins because you watch a lot more WWE than me, but I'm not tired of him. I think he's entertaining as hell. And I like how he kind of like swings the pendulum back and forth on whether he's a good guy or bad guy. Like you can't tell, like 1 minute, like even in the middle of a match, he goes from good guy to bad guy, good guy, bad guy, like multiple times.
Yeah.
And
His ring stuff is great. I won't debate that at all with you. And I appreciate his sort of like agent of chaos thing, right? Where he just wants to watch the world burn, right? He doesn't give a fuck. And I'm really tired of hearing him talk. I hate his voice. I hate his fake whatever that promo voice is of his. Like that's the part I think that annoys me the most. But he wasn't terrible here. I'm with you on Bronson Reed. That dude is an absolute unit. He reminds me of a Bam Bam Bigelow, one of those big guys that can like really fucking move, man.
Yeah.
Like he is. I don't know how somebody that large can be that agile. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then probably my final thought was that I thought they did a good job of having a little bit of resolution to the Judgment Day stuff with Finn Balor and Edge and Rhea Ripley and Beth Phoenix. I thought they did good by not having Rhea Ripley get pinned, that she came out of that match still looking really strong. Just because, she's going into WrestleMania as the Royal Rumble winner, and she just went in the end in the Royal Rumble. So you can't then suddenly have her lose on the next pay-per-view in a mixed tag match. So as long as she didn't take the pinfall, I think they did a good job with that. No, Beth and Edge should definitely stay retired.
Yeah, I'm over it. Rhea Ripley is incredible though. Her Royal Rumble performance was spectacular. And I'll watch as much of her as they want to put on TV for the time being.
Yeah, for sure.
She's a total package as far as these things go.
Yeah, she's got the look, she's got the move, she's got the strength. that she's everything. You
Yeah.
can't ask for much more, and you're going to put her against Charlotte Flair. I approve. I approve.
Well, she's like Dark Charlotte at this point, right? Like Charlotte
Yeah.
is the golden god, and she's her like kind of scary reflection, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, good. Yeah, good show. I was pleasantly surprised. So any takeaways from this that's going into our next WrestleMania?
Hmm. I think, Austin Theory is a star. And there's rumors that he's going to face John Cena at WrestleMania. I don't know what you do with that. Does John Cena put Austin Theory over and shoot him to the moon? Or is that going to be too soon for him to do that? Or is Cena going to win because it's John Cena? But what last time we saw Cena was against Roman Reigns, and Reigns beat Cena. So then, if now Austin Theory beats Cena at WrestleMania, then we have Austin Theory on the same level as Roman Reigns. That's a
Yeah.
hell of a push.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where Austin Theory goes from here. I mean, I think he's USA, Intercontinental. That seems like the right,
Yeah.
thing for him. But
I would like to see him face Gunther in a belt versus belt match.
oh god, yeah.
Theory's not going to survive that because he's a pretty boy, but I think that's what
Yeah.
people want to see.
Yeah.
So,
He'll come out the other side all just like twisted wreckage, and he'll be like, I've seen some shit and I realize my looks aren't going to get me through, and from now on I'm just going to be 100% badass, and I'm gonna bring bricks to the ring and hit people with them. I don't know.
yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
How about for you? What do you think, or what's the big takeaway for you going into WrestleMania here with this thing?
Well, so the Roman Reigns is the puzzle, right? Because he's been basically unbeatable for so long now. And I know they're heading towards a Cody versus Roman Reigns thing, but I don't necessarily buy Cody even, at this point being on the same level as Roman Reigns. He's not a mid-carder to me, but he's like,
Yeah,
he's not quite the top. You know what I mean? Like there's the top tier, and then there's the guys kind of right below that. Like,
yeah. The only thing I could see is that somehow like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens cost Roman Reigns the match against Cody, and so it's not exactly a clean dethroning. But
yeah, maybe.
yeah, at this point they've put Roman Reigns so above everybody.
Yeah.
You gotta pick the right guy that's gonna knock him down. And I'm with you. I don't know if Cody is the right one, but either way, it's must see TV.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I'm into it. I'm ready. I don't know if I'm going to be 2 nights worth of WrestleMania ready, but I'm into it. So
yeah, night 2 might get watched on like Tuesday.
yeah. Ugh. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Can we start an online petition to get it back to one night?
No.
Yeah.
And we got to keep an eye out because sometimes they put the tickets for the next WrestleMania on sale during the current WrestleMania.
Yeah, you're right. And that's going to be in Philly, which is not too far for both of us. And
No.
it's the 40th anniversary. And I don't know what else.
We got to try to be there. We got to do our damnedest to try and get there.
We should film. We should, what we should do? We should do like podcast episodes from the road as we're heading up there. Just like a couple of fucking cranky middle-aged guys with weak bladders on the road. Like
here we are at the Chesapeake house. Here we are at the Delaware house. This 20 miles further up the road because I shouldn't have had that bottle of water at Chesapeake house.
Like, hey, this rest stop has a Sbarro.
Here we are at the rest stop just across the PA border.
Here we are at the exit for the Christiana Mall because they have free bathrooms. What I'm trying to say is I pee a lot, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
like a lot. It's okay. Anyway, all right. Are we done with the Elimination Chamber? Has anybody made a elimination?
Here you are.
Has anybody made an Elimination Chamber? Is what I call my bathroom joke.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that's why I'm chuckling because we were just talking about peeing a lot, and then suddenly, are we done with the Elimination Chamber?
Yeah. That's what I'm going to tell my wife every time I go to the bathroom now. I'm like, I'm headed to the elimination chamber. She'd probably just be like, stop talking to me.
Please don't look at me ever again.
Also move out, and I'm changing the locks. Yeah. Anyway.
Leave the dog.
I think she'd actually want me to take the dog. She's like, because he's clearly my dog. He's kind of attached to me.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah. I actually brought him upstairs when to record tonight, because if I leave him downstairs, he sits at the bottom of the stairs and cries.
Oh,
I know. Even though Jackie's sitting right there, it's kind of rude on his part.
Yeah.
So what a dick.
I mean, kicked me out of the bedroom doing bedtime tonight for like the third night in a row. He's like, no, Papa, you can read me books, but when it comes time for the cuddling to fall asleep, get Mama in here immediately. So,
that's fine. More time for you.
Yeah, sure.
It's me time, kid. This is me time.
Yeah.
So you can take him to do fun stuff during the day.
Yeah.
Tattoos and blow.
I took him to a ball pit last weekend, so that was fun.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't invite me?
You're far away.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Oh, if you guys ever go to a Sky Zone, please call me, because I've never been to one of those and I kind of want to go.
Yeah, there's one here in Bowie that we've been talking about taking to, but we're not yet.
He's probably a little small for that yet.
Some other kid in his daycare goes, so we're possibly going to go with them.
Okay.
As like a play date kind of thing. It'd be like parents that talk to other parents.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So here's a fun idea. You put him on one end of the trampoline. You jump on the other end of the trampoline.
That's a bad idea.
Instant satellite.
Yeah. He's in orbit.
He's on CNN. You're like, we don't know what this balloon is.
He's in orbit around Mars doing that.
Comes back to Earth every 47 years.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get to the Super Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, we got distracted by launching your son into orbit. Sorry. AWA Super Sunday, April 24th, 1983. St. Paul Civic Center from St. Paul, Minnesota. Everyone in this crowd is Minnesota nice, but not really. No. This is a fun show. Gene Okerlund, good old mean Gene, is on ring announcing duties. Rod Trongard is on commentary, and he's our only commentator, which is a little bit strange to only have one commentator on the show, except for a little bit of an exception later on. And he's not there to sell storylines. He's there to basically just tell you what's going on in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big difference with AWA and other things, is that there's some storylines, but really Vern Gagne is really into the entire concept of the company being built around technical wrestling and focusing on the wrestling and really nothing else. And while it's extremely popular, the AWA is on the same level as what the WWF is at this level, and the NWA, like, they're competitors. They're all even on the floor here.
So it could have gone either way, except for some other things, I guess.
Yeah, and it's actually this focus on technical wrestling and less about storylines and personality that ends up sinking the AWA eventually. And there's controversy that about this show that we'll get to later. And this is an interesting supercard event that it wasn't a pay-per-view. It wasn't a closed circuit event or anything like that. It might have aired on television there, like maybe cut up into multiple episodes or something like that, locally syndicated. But it's a super card, and it's a big time show, and it's one of their big ones. So
yeah,
this is a strange little event that sticks out in history and is key to our ongoing theme recently of looking at different career points of Hulk Hogan, from his first title win over the Sheik, as Tim mentioned, to body slamming Andre in Pontiac, Detroit, Michigan, to now we've rewound a little bit back, but right before he goes and beats the Sheik, and we get to see him suffer great injustice.
Yeah, this is Hogan or Urhawk. Yeah, and just as a reminder, the last AWA show we did was from '86, I believe, right? It was the Wrestle Rock And you may remember that
Yes.
episode from its amazing rap theme song, the Wrestle Rock Rumble.
Yeah.
Rap is in air quotes, of course. And production values are pretty much the same. It's kind of low budget. It's a like an arena show, not
I would actually
terribly.
say that it might be better.
It might be a little bit better. Although Wrestle Rock had a Waylon Jennings performance that we don't have here. So
Yeah, and a color commentator that eventually joins in, but it doesn't matter.
yeah, it doesn't.
There's some great things with this show, the ambiance of the show. Like we said, the crowd is hot. This is a very, very hot crowd, almost to the level of what we just saw at the Elimination Chamber in Montreal. And my favorite thing is that the hard cam shot, if you look past the ring, you can see all the smokers and drinkers that stand up in the back. Like it's like there's always that like group at like large gatherings and stuff where they have a seat, but they can't go use it. They need to stand in the back, like the cool guys in their leather jackets and stuff like that, to smoke or drink. And
Yeah.
even at like, when I worked for the public library, we would have giant staff days where like all the people that work for the library, like almost 500 people, would get together in a big banquet room. And there was inevitably always a crew of people that had to stand in the back for their coffee instead of sitting at a table with the rest of their crew. They stood, like, it's 4 hours long and they stand the entire time in the back. And the same thing is happening in this show. And like, there's like a bright light over top of them too. And so like there's like this like silhouettes of like smokers standing in the back of every camera shot, and it's wonderful. It's so 80s.
It's like an Edward Hopper painting back there.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's great.
It's the dogs playing poker back there. Yeah, no, those guys are way too cool for school for sure. And there's some really there's some, like you said, the crowd's hot. There's some really fascinating talent on this thing. All right, so then let's get to the card here. So first up on the card is Rocky Tom Stone. Get it? Because his name is Stone. He's Rocky. Versus Brad Reingans. Reingans we've seen before.
Yeah, he's always in the opening match of these AWA shows.
Yeah. He's a curtain jerker.
Yeah.
3 years running. Good old Brad is in the old collegiate, Olympic singlet and working the quote unquote legit wrestling angle.
Yeah.
Stone, whose real name is Stephen Hall, was also one of the executioners. If you remember them.
Everybody wrestled as an executioner.
Well, that's true.
So
I probably was an executioner at some point.
Yeah, we don't even realize that both of us were a masked executioner in a professional wrestling at some point in time.
I was executioner number 69.
Nice.
Hey, yo. Listen up, folks.
I was executioner 77 because you get 8 more.
I don't get it. That's okay.
You get 8 more.
Eight more. It's a homonym. I thought you were executioner 420.
Nice, too. Nice. Blazing.
Anyway, yeah, this one starts kind of slow. There's some long heat on Reingans from good old Rocky there. But I'd say Brad's comeback is actually pretty exciting.
Yeah.
He does a couple of decent drop kicks and then a pretty wicked gut wrench suplex, which the announcer calls the suplex. Did you catch that?
Yeah, apparently that's how until like 84 or 85, that's how they pronounce it. And like every place it's a suplex. I don't understand. Okay, it's French, even though it ends with an EX. Suplex. Is it spelled SUPLEIGH back then?
Maybe.
I don't know.
That's Irish.
I thought this match was kind of interesting because it started with a handshake, even though Rocky is very clearly the heel, and he fights like an asshole through the entire thing after shaking his hand.
Rocky, you fight like an asshole.
Yeah, and there was one super really cool thing that I'd never seen before in a wrestling match that was in this match, and that is while Brad has Rocky in an arm bar and he's down on the mat. Right, he's got his arm locked, and he picks him up by the arm lock through the shoulder socket, and then slams him back down onto the mat. I was like, "Oh God, how did he not just like rip his arm out of the socket?" how do you do that? And like his entire body like levitates off the mat and slams back down. I'm like, oh, ouch, ouch.
There's some wicked shit, especially these guys, these older guys who, work this kind of like legit angle, like
Yeah,
this collegiate wrestler angle or whatever you want to call it, amateur wrestling angle. Like they pull off some pretty impressive stuff
yeah.
sometimes.
I mean, Brad is a legit. He made the
Yeah.
1980 Olympic wrestling team, but we decided to boycott those Olympics in Moscow, so
Boo.
he didn't get to go.
Is that the
So
one that Kurt Russell went to? No, that was 84.
yeah,
Anyway, I thought the little interview with Brad after is kind of cute. He's very humble.
yeah,
He's like,
yeah,
"Thank you, everybody."
yeah. Good promo, buddy. Good job.
he's from the Ricky Steamboat School of Promos. I
I mean,
just want to say I think everyone came here to see a really good wrestling match, and I respect them quite a lot. I'm happy to have beat him, and I really appreciate everybody here, showing their support.
remember to buy your program.
Tip your servers.
That's what Gene ends this segment with. Remember to buy your program, ladies and gentlemen.
So people start booing during his promo there, and I'm like, oh, they don't like him. But actually, Mean Gene points out that's actually because the next bad guy is getting set to come to the ring. So he's coming down the aisle, and that is Steve Regal, but not that one.
No.
Versus Rock and Roll Buck Zumhofe, who is that one, a.k.a. the sex offender guy.
Yeah.
And who we also saw on the Wrestle Rock. He has his Elvis jumpsuit and his fucking boombox that he won't turn off when he's talking on a microphone, and the speaker is blaring in the microphone, and like what the fuck? Like, seriously. Sorry,
Yeah.
I get distracted. I don't like Buck Zumhofe. He's supposed to be the face here, but one, he's an asshole and he doesn't know when to turn his fucking boombox off. Two, he's a convicted sex offender doing time right now.
Yeah, and I think I know a third reason why.
Why is that?
I'm pretty certain Shawn Michaels has ripped off his entire gimmick. Did you not get like a full Shawn Michaels vibe from him, from like the white leather and the moves in the ring and stuff like that? It screams late career Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. He has a kind of spastic thing. Also, okay, so here's another question. He has like this kind of like jump jazz tune playing on the boombox, right?
Yeah,
it's not. He's rock and roll, quote
it's
unquote.
not rock and roll whatsoever.
Buck Zumhofe, but it's not like
it's like rockabilly kind of.
It's not ZZ Top. It's not fucking Skinnerd. It's like Muzak jazz from the Kmart dressing room.
Yeah, it's not good.
What is wrong with this guy?
No, it's just a basic like 1-4-5 chord progression rocking through the blues. Like, come on.
I hate Buck Zumhofe.
Yeah, Buck Zumhofe can eat my dick.
He can rot in jail. Anyway,
yeah, he can. Even though the crowd loves him, he's getting a big old buck chant going. So
they didn't know he was a sex offender yet. That was later.
No. They telegraphed the finish of this match pretty badly when the announcer says, "Well, Zumhofe has a title shot next month." So are you gonna have him lose this match? Like, okay, well now we know that Buck wins. Great.
They didn't have such a thing as spoiler alerts back then.
No, he also kind of has like this weird like Hulk up skip around the ring, kind of like Wahoo McDaniel does, and it's kind of like distractingly bad.
That's what I wrote here. Buck does a Hulk up. That's what I wrote.
Yeah.
Buck starts out, and then Regal cuts him off, and then Buck does a Hulk up. I also wrote that he has a bit of a skinny Hacksaw Duggan thing going on.
Yeah, the way he arches his back, the posture's weird. It's weird. Yeah, I can see that too.
And he does a sort of it's like a Vader bomb thing in the corner.
Yeah,
gets the pin.
That's weird. Like they're cruiserweights, kind of basically, and a belly flop is your finisher.
Oh, you dropped 180 pounds on me. Oh my god.
Oh god. Oh no.
Anyway,
I liked Regal though. He was mean. He was fast. I liked him. I liked Regal in this match.
Yeah, that dude could work. I haven't seen him before.
No.
I don't know too much about him. I should look him up while we're talking here.
I don't either. I've heard his name pass around before and being like confused as to why
Right.
is there two Steven Regals, but there aren't. So we're good.
He is described as the very flamboyant Steve Regal when he comes out to the ring, which I thought was fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, Buck wins. He does a post-match interview, but he's got his fucking stupid boombox thing on again, and it's like blaring directly into the mic. Mean
These are
Gene.
the most boring promos ever.
Ugh.
They're just the most boring things ever. Thanks for the win.
He should have gone to jail for those promos.
Yeah. They
All
could have saved someone a lot of heartache.
Namely his daughter. Just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, next up on the card, Jerry the King Lawler. Hooray!
Holy shit.
I know, right? What's he doing here? It's a long way from Memphis versus John the Golden Greek Tolos. Mr. Tolos is actually Canadian, by the way.
Yeah, of course he is.
But he is Greek. He's Greek heritage. So this was kind of a fun little thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Tolos is old as shit in this match. By the way, he is 52.
Yeah, he's born in 1930.
Yeah, he's 52. And poor Lawler just works the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Lawler's a full 19 years younger than him. So
boy.
Yeah. I like that Lawler is announced as seen on the David Letterman show, because this is actually pretty much right around the time of all the Andy Kaufman stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah, for sure.
So that was a fun little thing. But this is a pretty boring match. But I mean, it's Jerry Lawler. Jerry Lawler openly admits that he doesn't know a lot of technical wrestling stuff. He can do a headlock, and he can sell, and he can do punches, and then the pile driver.
And then the pile driver, yeah.
And then he's done. But that's all you need from him. You need that strap drop, and he's angry, and you're like, oh shit, it's on now. He's took off the strap, and then 30 seconds later, the pile driver pin. He's waving to the crowd. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like, talk about finding your niche and just fucking working it, right? Like, he's never, he doesn't, he's the AC/DC of professional wrestling. He doesn't evolve. He doesn't change. He just goes out there. He sings you really loud songs about balls. Everybody has a good time, and then you go home.
Yeah, I mean, and he really Jerry Lawler later in like the early 90s on Monday Night Raw as still a wrestler, really finds a niche and starts pushing the envelope in WWF a lot. Like the Attitude Era kind of builds off of him and his feud with Bret Hart a bit, where like he's getting in the face of Stu and Helen Hart and insulting them and calling them dirt bags and old as shit, and like just below the belt stuff that, he's bringing that Memphis insanity to the WWF. And I don't know if that's what they were trying to go for here. Like they brought him up from the Memphis territory here, kind of on loan. But yeah.
So are we discovering that Jerry has a problem with Canadians? Is that what's going on here?
I think so.
Is this some kind of weird racist nationalist thing?
Yeah.
The only thing I really noted here was Lawler gets hit with an uppercut and flies over the top rope, and the referee rules that it wasn't Tolos's fault. Jerry's momentum carried him over, so he doesn't get disqualified, and they're able to continue the match.
Foreshadowing later events
of
this show. Because the AWA, similar to the NWA, has the if you intentionally throw your opponent over the top rope, you are disqualified rule happening.
Yeah. And then Lawler uses his famous pile driver to wrap it all up. Tolos is the announcer says Tolos is unconscious.
You can see him moving and like talking, but it's not the first time that announcer has made this announcement.
That's okay. So the next match is a NWA Women's World Tag Team Championship match. It's the Texas Cowgirls, which is Wendy Richter and Joyce Grable versus Judy Martin and Velvet McIntyre. And we've talked about Wendy Richter a little bit before, off and on, about how over she was back in the day, and how she was basically like the female Hulk Hogan. But like watching her here, she's more like, I don't know, like the female Terry Funk or something. Like,
She is a star and a half. Oh
this
my
is a
God.
good fucking match. This match,
Yeah,
I I watched this twice actually
I
because I
did too. I
enjoyed it.
watched it again today.
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Actually,
Oh man,
uh,
there's some
yeah,
violence in this
yeah,
match. The Cowgirls have these rad pink cowboy boots that I really like.
yeah,
There's a power bomb from some of the girls.
yeah.
Um,
There's some real shit happening in this match. My God, there's like hard like throws through the middle of the ropes out until onto the concrete floor, bouncing off of tables. Like, oh my God, like these women are taking real legit bumps. They're doing real legit mat work and grappling, and it is tough as balls. This match is probably the meanest match on the card, hands down.
yeah, 100%. Richter starts out by grabbing Velvet by her ponytail and like just flipping her around like a
Yeah,
fucking spatula. Like it's crazy. I just wrote "yikes" in my notes because
yeah, you
that
can.
looked painful.
Yeah, and like and the but like Julie Martin and Velvet McIntyre are no slouches in this match. They're dishing it just as much as
Yeah.
Joyce Grable and Wendy Richter are. Like those are the two big names in the match, but Julie Martin, Velvet McIntyre are throwing it down. Velvet McIntyre and her Irish temper, uh, as it's pointed out to us multiple times, is just nasty. And then Richter at one point stands on Velvet's long red hair and like to keep her down, and then stomps on her chest, and then the foot comes up a little too far up, and like she just stomps right on her throat and jaw. Like, oh my God, I think we just saw like Velvet McIntyre get like a real curb stomp. Like, Jesus. It was some
Gave her the
tough stuff.
gave her the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah, and you
Uh,
can whenever something like that happens, this announcer has a tell when he thinks that something is really nasty and like mean looking, and he goes, mm. like it's almost like the Jesse Ventura whoa
yeah.
kind of thing, but like he just goes, mm.
I'm gonna start doing that during meetings when somebody says something I don't like.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a great hot tag in this match. Oh man, but then at one point all four ladies are in the match, and there's pins happening, but no legal person is pinning the other legal person. So it's kind of ridiculous looking. And then Wendy Richter uses an inverted body vice, they called it on McIntyre, where
Sure.
she picked her up and put her on her shoulder and bridged McIntyre's back over her shoulder, kind of like a torture rack kind of thing. Like that's some serious strength. Like, and you don't see that out of a lot of women wrestlers these days that have that kind of strength. You might see it in like Rhea Ripley or like Bianca Belair to be able to do that stuff. But this is Wendy Richter in the '80s, is like fucking hulking out and stretching. She's tanging and banging, you know.
Tanging and banging. Yeah, these girls are tough, man. This match goes 13 and almost 14 minutes. Longest card on the match to so far, and like the third longest match on the whole thing.
Yeah, and it ends with Grable power bombing
Yeah.
McIntyre for the win, I believe.
She gets about 3/4 of it, I would say.
Yeah, that's still a really tough move to pull
Yeah,
off, you know.
no, for sure.
And my biggest takeaway is that you can tell that Wendy Richter's money. She is gold. She is a big old sack of cash, and you need to hold on to her.
Yeah, so her post-match interview, she says, "Well, they're real good wrestlers, but we're the best."
Yeah.
Man,
And then she just like, and then she gets on the mic, and like everybody just fucking boos her. That place loses their mind booing her, and she's just like, "Shut up!" Like, oh my God, she's almost on the Sherry Martel level with it, but not quite.
Big fan.
So,
Big
yeah,
fan. I'm gonna watch some more Wendy Richter matches.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. If you're gonna go through anything on this AWA Super Sunday, that's a good place to start. You can skip over good old Buck Zumhoff and Jerry the King Lawler for sure.
Yeah,
Next up is Wahoo McDaniel, who good old Gene Okerlund says is one of the great Indian wrestlers of all time.
sure.
Sure. Versus Eddie Boulder, aka Edward Leslie, aka Brutus Beefcake,
Yeah,
which is crazy.
yeah. Mean Gene also, well, he's not Mean Gene yet. He's just Gene. Announces that this is supposedly the largest indoor wrestling event ever to happen in North America.
It looks like there's 400 people there. Like,
Yeah, but it's in the St. Paul Civic Center. That place is pretty big. I'm just like, it is the largest indoor wrestling event to happen in Minnesota since last week in North America in April. They keep adding qualifiers to make it something special. It's like,
it's the in the spring, in April, in the
yeah,
in the Great Lakes region to have Super in the title.
but they don't announce the actual attendance with
To
it.
start after 4 p.m.
Yeah.
No, yeah, actually, I don't know what the attendance was. There's probably a few thousand there. I'd guess maybe 7 or 8. What do you think?
Judging from the volume of that crowd, I would probably push it to 10.
Okay.
10,000.
Well, actually, let's look up while we're talking here. Let's look with the St. Paul Civic Center. I'm imagining it doesn't exist anymore. Demolished in 1998. Capacity was 16,000.
Oh, this place is at capacity for
You
sure.
think?
Yeah. There's people standing in the back.
Well, they're too cool. They got to smoke back there. So, Eddie Boulder is fucking ripped and has this like
Yeah.
gorgeous mane of blonde hair.
Oh yeah.
I kept looking at his face and like, is that really Brutus? I couldn't tell. Part of it is that the lighting on this show is really bad.
Yeah. This was just a weird match to me. I don't know. Wahoo's getting older at this point, but Brutus is coming up. You need somebody. And then Lawler pops in on commentary and he's super face good guy on it. And he sounds very uncomfortable. It's weird. It's weird to hear Lawler sound uncomfortable on the microphone.
Yeah, he definitely takes a little bit getting settled there, and he doesn't quite know what to do. He has some mic trouble at first, and then he kind of like talks through his match with Tolos, and he talks about how devastating the pile driver is, and he mentions that he put Andy Kaufman in the hospital for 5 days. So he's continuing to sell his Memphis thing and his as seen on David Letterman thing.
I had recently actually watched something about that whole feud, and Andy Kaufman actually did stay in the hospital for like 3 or 4 days uninjured. He paid to stay in the hospital and paid the doctors to keep saying that he was sick or injured so that he could completely sell the injury that he suffered supposedly from Jerry Lawler. Incredible. And like and they weren't even going to when that initially happened, they weren't even going to get an ambulance to take him. They're telling Andy that it was too expensive to get the ambulance, and Andy was like, "I'll pay for the ambulance.
That's
Just
amazing.
Get it here and cart me out of here."
Man, talk about selling it.
Yeah, you don't have that commitment anymore. You know,
what a fucking genius.
Yeah. Well, anyways, this match, not much to it. I mean, Wahoo has a beautiful vertical suplex that he lands. Sorry, vertical suplex on Eddie Boulder here. I'm gonna call him by the name that he's billed by. And then he does then Wahoo rallies back and starts galloping around the ring, and the crowd starts going la, 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 la. Like, oh my god, this is oh my god. And then Wahoo lands the quote tomahawk chop to finish off Eddie Boulder here.
Yeah, Wahoo has a beautiful chop, I gotta say. Also, he hits those ropes like he means it. Like you don't see that anymore. Guys don't know how to fucking do that anymore. You should watch old video of Wahoo McDaniel hit those ropes.
Well, it's because hitting the ropes hurt and people don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the thing.
He's all in. So Moving along, this next match is a barn burner. It's a 6-man tag match. On one side, you've got Jesse Ventura, Ken Patera, and Blackjack Lanza. Those are the bad guys versus the High Flyers, and that's Greg Gagne and Jim Brunzell and Rick Martel. Man, so first of all, play the Sesame Street game. One of these things is not like the other. Greg Gagne always looks like he just like wandered into the Gold's Gym locker room and has no business being there whatsoever.
No.
And like, I get it, your dad's the promoter, it's adorable, but like, come on, man, he's got zero muscle mass.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things that leads to the downfall of the AWA is this Greg Gagne constant push. He's just constantly there, and people don't understand it. He's not that popular with the crowd. He's not that great in the ring. He holds his own. He can do it. But I mean, if he was put in a match with the Brooklyn Brawler, I'd probably hope that the Brooklyn Brawler wins because, just that's how it is. I think Greg Gagne has a very punchable face for being a good guy.
He really does. After the bell in this one, when they're griping about the loss and complaining, I'm like, man, he just sounds like such a fucking wuss. Like, I just just want to smack him.
Yeah, this is my first time seeing Jesse Ventura and Ken Patera actually wrestle. I'd never seen them before, and that's one of the things that drew me to saying let's watch this show. Is that it's got a lot of, one, I was interested to see Jerry Lawler this early, and but then Jesse Ventura, Ken Patera, I had never seen them wrestle, and it was interesting. Jesse looks totally different, even though and it's just because he still has hair. He hasn't shaved his head yet, and he should have shaved his head. He looks like shit in this match.
Yeah, he's got sort of the toilet seat receding hairline, right? He's got like the Hulk Hogan ring of blonde hair around the back.
Yeah, but it's black. It's blackish brown hair. It's not good.
Yeah, Ken Patera is a weird looking dude. He looks strong as hell, but he's just also a weird looking dude. So for me, the real standout in this match was Rick Martel. Like,
oh my god, yeah, that dude's a stud.
Oh my god! So
Ricky Martel.
We bust on Rick Martel because, of course, he was in Strike Force with Tito Santana, and he broke up Strike Force and became the model. And we've never quite forgiven him. And he was a really good heel, actually, in sort of the WWE heyday. Had a good match with the good feud with Jake the Snake, where he blinded him with the perfume and the whole thing. But he is hot stuff in this match.
Yeah, you can see why they would make him champ, but he should have been champ in WWF too. Like, he never got that same level of treatment when he did Jump Boat. But this match was fire. It was all over the place, lots of energy to it. Martel with really fast arm drag takedowns. They were really impressive. Like, they're like Dustin Rhodes level arm drag takedowns, Ricky Steamboat caliber. Really enjoyable to watch him work. There's a great Jesse sucks chant from the crowd, and you can hear Jesse turn around and scream back at them to kiss his ass. Great mic work picking that stuff up. Good job. But and then there's a lot of Weasel sucks match chants because Bobby Heenan is ringside with the heels. And he's getting lots of middle fingers too. It's that Minnesota Nice is gone.
Yeah, no, Heenan's bringing the heat for sure. He gets up on the apron and passes a foreign object to Patera. And you know what I liked about this is actually they did it in full view of the camera, but out of sight of the ref, right? Like I think we were just talking about this.
Yeah.
And, whereas on AEW now, it's like the guy just like walks up and like hands a machete to the other guy, and the ref just like looks at him and then just like keeps, checks his watch or plays his game.
You can't do that, and then he does it anyway.
Yeah, don't do that. And so they actually, and the other thing is, Patera keeps the foreign object sort of hid for a little bit, and he doesn't just like get it, turn around, brain the guy. in the most obvious possible way. Like there's a few moves in between. He actually sort of goes to the floor, and Brunzell's trying to put a submission move on him, and he kind of just reaches up and pops him with the foreign object.
Yeah. The announcer says he's trying to put the Indian deathlock on him. It's a figure four.
It's a figure four.
It's just a figure four. And then there's like chaos breaking out, and that's when Ken cracks him in the head with the foreign object and gets the pin in the middle of the chaos. Yeah. There was this one moment too where Ken Patera really showed his strength, where he picked up Jim Brunzell and just threw him across the ring. Just picked him up like he's a bag of ice from 7-Eleven. Just threw him.
He's a strong dude, wasn't he? He was a power lifter, right? Wasn't that his whole thing?
Yeah. He was like a big weightlifter, world strongman kind of thing before he got into pro wrestling.
No, he's jacked for sure.
Yeah, and then
he's like a blonde, like Jufro, which is weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird look. He's got a weird look all around. And it was really annoying that the commentator is screaming that it was a double disqualification all this time, and like, no, it was just a pin. It was just a pin. You won. Like, that's how it won. And like through the entire event too, the commentator is talking about, oh, the camera work tonight is awesome. This crew is doing a great job. They're really covering the action and getting us great angles, but this amazing camera work completely missed the finish of this match, and we had to watch the replay like 10 times after the match to see it.
Yeah, in slow motion and with a zoom and all that stuff. Yeah. No, it's that part gets a little annoying, and it lasts forever. And also, to me, the faces end up looking like a bunch of whiners because they're in the ring. They're like, "Oh no, he totally cheated, and like everybody else has moved on by now." Like,
but then a brawl breaks out, and that brawl's it's a good brawl.
Yeah. So anyway, no, this was a lot of fun. It was a lot of chaos. Guys you don't see. Blackjack Lanza, like,
yeah.
We didn't even really mention him, but he's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big time 6-man tag match. Like it's a lot of names. So,
and Brunzell we just saw in WrestleMania 3, obviously, as part of the Killer Bees, Jumpin' Jim Brunzell. But he had
Jesse Ventura on commentary at that, and Blackjack Lanza is working as one of the bookers for WWE, WWF at the time, and you see him escort Mary Hart to the ring.
Oh, right.
At the end. So
that's right. By that time, Greg Gagne is working at a gas station, probably.
No, I think he's champion at that point.
Well, and then we wonder what happened to the AWA, right?
Right.
Like, they got Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant over there, and we have the milquetoast son of the promotion owner.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So here we go with the main event. The main reason we're here. This is Nick Bockwinkel, who's the AWA champ, with Bobby Heenan in his corner, versus Hulk Hogan for the AWA World Heavyweight title. Lord James Blears as special guest referee. He was a wrestler and just kind of all around announcer, promoter, etc.
Surfer. He was a surfer apparently too.
Yeah, what a weird.
He lived out the rest of his life in Hawaii after this. So
that doesn't sound too bad.
No,
trying to escape the shame of what happened in Minnesota. So we start off. I'll just do the introductions here, and then you can give us a little bit of the background. They start off with the introductions of AWA President Stanley Blackburn, who gets a nice round of boos. He's sort of like the Jack Tunney figure. He's not, he's whatever. He's fake president or whatever. And then AWA co-founder Wally Carbo is here, who was also one of their big wrestlers for a long time. Introduction of James Blears, and then of Heenan. And then of the wrestlers, and they do the whole checking the boots thing, et cetera, et cetera. So I know you have a lot of background on this one. What did you want to talk about here?
Yeah, so I mean, this match is actually pretty pivotal to the future of the AWA and the history of the AWA and to the WWF actually. So as you just mentioned, that Gagne and Carbo are basically the co-founders of the AWA, and what they did was they actually scooped up a bunch of local promotions, stretching from like Minnesota to California, and grouped them in to like an NWA thing, but called it the AWA. But it seems like the AWA was a bit more of a solidified like single promotion, unlike the NWA, which is an alliance of a bunch of small companies like the Georgia territory or the Florida and like the Memphis and stuff like that. But the AWA does work with the NWA occasionally, and that's the reason why like Jerry Lawler's on the card here and stuff like that. So basically, what had happened was in '81, Gagne, Vern Gagne, the founder, not the son, Greg, but Vern, was basically the champion until he retired. And then he decided, well, since Nick Bockwinkel had been loyal to me and stayed around for so long, he put the belt on Nick Bockwinkel, and Nick Bockwinkel has been carrying the company. Even though at this point, at this match, Nick Bockwinkel is 48 years old. He doesn't look it. I mean,
no, he looks
if
like
I
a
look
golden.
like that at 48, I'd be super happy.
He looks like a golden god.
Yeah. So
I've got what is this? I've got 2 years and like 4 months until I'm 48, and I don't look anything like that.
No. Yeah. So at this point, Hulk Hogan is working with the AWA. He's been training. He just starred in Rocky 3, and boy, is he over. Boy, the crowd just loves him. But Vern Gagne recognizes that Hogan has this incredible charisma and personality and enough ring skills, but he's not a real wrestler. So it's kind of like this bullshit where Bob Backlund wouldn't lose to Hulk Hogan because he wasn't a real wrestler. Well, Vern Gagne wasn't sold on Hogan because he wasn't like a real like technician wrestler guy. Like he doesn't have amateur cred. Because of that, Vern decides to basically to do 2 dusty finishes on Hulk Hogan versus Nick Bockwinkel in a row. Well, what we're about to talk about is the second one. And so this second one is the one that really set Hogan off and prompted a phone call from one Vince McMahon to Minnesota, long distance, and said, Hulk, if you come here, I'll make you champion immediately.
Yeah, you can watch this and just see kind of, I don't know, some of it look, you can't, it's hard to tell sometimes what's a work, but whatever, like, yeah, thinking about 1983 and where Hulk Hogan is and what he will be, you can see this ain't it, right?
Right. So the other thing that's happening here is that Vern Gagne is taking the lion's share of all of Hulk Hogan's merchandise sales and his money that he's making wrestling in New Japan at this time too, because he's a big time guy in New Japan at this point. He's making main event matches in New Japan, and Vern Gagne is he's not, you can't even call it skimming. He is taking a lot of money, and Hogan at least asked Vern to just go 50-50 on it, and Vern said no.
Damn, that's not cool.
And then he refused to make him champion because of the lack of amateur wrestling cred. So obviously Hulk Hogan says goodbye. Vinnie Mac over in New York has said that he'll put the belt on me immediately and gonna ride me to the bank for the next 9 years. So I'm gonna go do that. And he does.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, when you hear about that history, and sometimes when people talk about that history, they sort of lay it on Hogan as he's being, opportunistic and not loyal and all that stuff. But I mean, I think, thinking about it, it's like, why the fuck would you stick around basically to get shit on by your own promotion, get half your
Right.
money, at least half your money stolen, and you know what you got, right? Like at this point in '83 with the movie and everything, like Hogan knows what he's working with and that he could be a whole lot more, right? And again, Minnesota has been good to him, but Minnesota is it's clearly not the last stop for somebody on that level. So like,
No,
I get
and
it, you know?
that pop that he gets at
Oof.
the moment that like just the music starts for him, he gets a massive pop. And this is another one of those things where WWE/Peacock have edited the music. So at this point, Hogan is coming out the Eye of the Tiger here. And there's even signs that say Hulkamania in the crowd. It's there. It's all done. Like Vince didn't
Yeah.
have to do anything. Hogan's already a complete finished package.
Well,
He
he's
just
wearing a shirt that says "We want the belt," right? Isn't that what his shirt
right
says? And
now or never or something like that too on
people
the back.
have signs in the crowd that say the same thing. It's ready made. It's set to go. So this is Bockwinkel again comes out. He runs out to the ring to a chorus of boos. The announcer says that Bockwinkel wanted so much money for this one that Wally Carbo had to raise the ticket prices for tonight's event. That made me laugh.
Yeah, that was pretty funny, and that's
Yeah.
probably not true. It's
No.
actually just Vern wanting more money because he understands that Hogan is a goddamn cash cow and the Golden Goose all combined into one.
Can you imagine going to see fucking Hulk Hogan in like, a 16,000 seat arena in like nowhere, Minnesota in 1983? Like that would be like catching the Clash at like a tiny
Yeah.
club in like London, like,
Yeah,
like,
it's almost like seeing like the Ramones at CBGB's
yeah,
or something like
right.
like you're there right at the start.
And you're like, oh man, something's going to happen here. Right.
Yeah,
Like,
because it's not even like just the start of the band, but it's the start of the whole punk genre. Like
yeah.
you're here at the start of Hulkamania before it has run wild to it hasn't hit a big market yet, but it's about to.
Yeah. Well, and as we said, when we watched the Madison Square Garden show, like, when he takes that belt from the Sheik, like everything changes. It's,
Yeah.
and that's not that far off from where we are here. So it's
And
a big moment.
one of the things that I was reading in the research up to this was that the big thing that was keeping the AWA going and a main competitor to the WWF and the NWA is that they had California. They had specifically San Francisco was like big time. They controlled that, and WWF couldn't get to California. They were trying already to stretch it coast to coast, but they couldn't quite get there. Once Hulk Hogan jumped over, and like he's supposedly from Venice Beach, and like that opened the door to booking in San Francisco for the WWF, and that started the AWA's retreat from the coast. It's almost militaristic, like the control of land, and like
Yeah.
it's like a risk. It's like a game of risk. This like controlling territory and lands and stuff like that. And that caused the AWA to start receding away from the West Coast and the staying in the Midwest. That cost the AWA to lose a lot of money. And then the other thing that happened with that was because they were losing the money and the WWF started making the big bucks. Stu Hart, who was in the market to sell his Stampede Wrestling, chose to take the $1 million from Vince McMahon instead of any kind of offer from his former roommate, Vern Gagne.
Yeah.
That could have been like a big pivotal move for AWA to obtain Stampede Wrestling, the Hart legacy, like, and the Stampede Wrestling controlled a large territory in Canada and the northern United States. So
Yeah. It probably would have it would have at least allowed the AWA to continue being a serious competitor for a little bit longer,
yeah,
like who's to say how long it would have lasted, but they would have had a chance for at least another few years.
because the other thing is we've said a lot of impressive names on here on this card, and the bad business deal that Vern offers Hogan, gets around the locker room, and they see Hogan hit the road because of it. That prompts Jesse Ventura to roll out, Ken Patera,
Bobby Heenan,
Rick Martel, Jim Brunzell, Wendy Richter,
Brutus Beefcake.
Brutus Beefcake. They all hit the road pretty much in a parade of a parade of vacancies, just because the AWA is now losing money because Hogan's gone, and they see WWF taking off. And what, in 18 months, Wendy Richter's partying with Cyndi Lauper? That's a big deal, you know?
Yeah, no, it's a talent drain for sure. And it kind of pulls the plug on the AWA, honestly. I mean, who's left at this point? You're going to watch Brad Rheingans and fucking Rock and Roll Buck Zumhoff. You're going to show up to the Civic Center for those guys? I don't think so. You're going to show up for 50 whatever year old John Tolos.
Right. The only thing that keeps them afloat at this point after Hogan leaves is that two guys roll in by the name of Hulk and Animal. The Road Warriors show up, and they're a big deal.
Yeah,
they're the Hulk Hogan of tag teams, basically. And
out of the Minnesota bar bouncing circuit, right?
Right.
Like some of the other guys.
Yeah, like all of them.
Like all of them. Yeah. Yeah. Scott Hall and Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig show up a little bit. Not too long after this either.
And Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually they all roll out too.
Yep. I feel like somebody should write like a business book about like talent, like getting and keeping talent kind of based on all these moves between the wrestling promotions.
Yeah. When you have a Hulk Hogan, agree to just split the money with him.
Like, give that dude the belt, seriously.
Right. Give him the belt.
So I noticed when he is introduced, they're still calling him Incredible Hulk Hogan here. So cue the Marvel lawsuit. But of course, that didn't happen until he went to a WWE or WWF. And they're like, oh, these guys have more money than these jokers here in Minnesota. So,
well, again, this is only local television. It doesn't happen until WWF is like broadcasting this crap nationwide. And then Marvel goes, wait a minute. Yeah, you can call him Incredible Hulk all you want up in bumfuck Minnesota. But you're in New York, you're broadcasting coast to coast. Pay up. So,
cha-ching, cha-ching. So there's some of the usual Hogan healing it up here. He jumps on Bockwinkel's stomach. He pulls him by the hair. Bockwinkel was really fucking good. Like this guy, man, he takes some amazing bumps in his thing. He just works, man. Like
he has impeccable timing for a heel.
He's
too.
Like incredible.
He knows when to bail. He knows when to roll out of the ring. He knows when to get in the little cheap shots. He knows when to turn to the crowd to get the face time with the crowd to heal it up. He's timing it up right, and he's got the old, like nowadays they would call it the dad bod. He's got a dad bod, but he's got the old fashioned tough man body look, like just like barrel chested, big guy kind of thing. And Hogan is a golden god of a bodybuilder looking dude, fresh off the surfboard, fresh out of the gym, tanging and banging.
I would be happy if I could look like Nick Bockwinkel. Like I have no illusions I'm ever going to look like.
Yeah.
I would totally take looking like Nick Bockwinkel. He's got the big arms, big, like you said, big shoulders and chest, a little bit of a gut, things are sliding a little bit to the south, which, whatever, shit happens. But he does.
He's got that golden mane of hair. My God.
He's gorgeous. He does his really great backwards bump where he just like falls over like a big tree after he runs into Hogan's boot at one point. That was great.
That was tough looking.
Yeah, I loved it. It reminded me of so good. It reminded me of Flair or Valentine's forward face bump, where you just fall on your face. Except it's the other way. There's a clothesline, and then Hogan drops an elbow that like looks like the elbow version of his big leg, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
but Bockwinkel sort of makes a little bit of a comeback. He's got some punches. He's going to the boiler until Hogan starts hawking up again. Hogan catches him in this power slam. He's like taking a step, and it looks like he almost sort of like fell forward or lost his balance a little bit and like falls
Yeah.
forward. That looked like it might have been painful for good old Mr. Bockwinkel there.
I mean, most of this match just looks like Hulk Hogan beating up an old man. I'm just like, it's a tough old man, but it's still an old man. Just
Still an old man, right?
Just the shit getting beaten out of him by Hulk Hogan.
Like a 20-year Navy veteran who's like starting some shit with a guy down at the Gold's Gym or whatever.
Like, you should just ignore him. Just ignore him, Hulk.
Yeah.
Just ignore him. Oh, Hulk, don't do it. Don't do it, man.
Come on.
And then, yeah.
That's old Mr. Bockwinkel. Leave him alone. He doesn't know what he's doing, Hulk. It's okay.
The name Bockwinkel. Like,
he lost a lot of friends overseas. So, yeah, it's fine. Leave him alone.
Look, he's angry. He's a little racist.
Yeah.
In the war. He was in the war. That's why he's racist, probably.
His sons don't talk to him anymore.
He just normally sits down at the park feeding the squirrels Alka-Seltzer and watching them blow up. But, he's harmless, okay? He's harmless. Oh, come back. Don't do it. So, but through this whole thing, the crowd is nuts. Oh my God. They are ready to burn that building down. Everybody's like, we can feel it. Hulk is winning this because Hulk's in control for like 99% of this match. Like, Bockwinkel's got nothing for him. And I just like noted that like the WWF was smart to just have Hogan steamroll the Sheik when he gets there. That's how you do it. You'd make Hogan this superstar, unstoppable man. You make him Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
You have him make an incredibly impressive defeat of the champion that just dethroned your like 6-year Bob Backlund, no personality guy. And then the Lord Blears, like, he really he takes away a lot from this match. I think he's not good at heat. He's not fast. He's not good at being on top of rules or counting and stuff. It just kind of sucks some of the momentum out of this match. It sucks a lot it just sucks a lot of the air out of it, and it kind of hurts it. Like, you didn't need a guest referee for this match.
No, it had enough drama going in. I mean, the best part is when the ref gets bumped near the end.
That was a vicious bump. That dude is old and he eats it big time.
Fuck that
my
guy.
God. Oh my God. I thought,
that's funny.
I think he's gonna kill him. Like,
yeah.
How old is Lord Blears at this point? So
400. He's 400.
He's born in 1923. So
Jesus.
he is 60. He looks 90.
Sweet.
He moves like he's 90.
But
he's 60 years old. And wow.
So Hogan does eventually make a comeback. He hits the big leg and hits the win and gets the belt. Heenan is apoplectic. He's freaking out. He's losing his shit. Hogan is holding on to the belt and fake crying and pointing to the sky. He's doing all of his Hogan stuff. But then...
Wait a minute.
What happened?
5 minutes ago, Hulk Hogan back body dropped Nick Bockwinkel over the top rope.
That son of a bitch.
That should have ended the match right there. But Lord Blears is such a shitty ref. He didn't catch it and call it.
Yeah.
And so barn burner guy, whatever his name is, I can't remember. The fake president of the AWA says, no, we're going to reverse this, and rips the belt out of Hogan's hands and gives it back to Nick Bockwinkel.
Stanley Blackburn, for the record.
Now, here's the controversy. There are several sources, not, great sources to say it, but sources that say that this match was booked to be non-disqualification. So it's extra bullshit. It's an extra bullshit dusty finish.
Not cool.
No. They nearly had a riot, and Nick Bockwinkel apparently supposedly had to talk later to calm down the crowd, apparently, that I don't think it gets aired or something, but There's shit flying in the air. There's probably some real literal shit, but people are throwing their trash at the ring and booing, and someone's going to die that night in this crowd.
Oh yeah, after that announcement, the trash just comes flying in. And Hogan attacks Nick after all that. He posts Heenan. He is fired up.
He throws Heenan out of the ring. It's amazing.
He's pissed. He's just going on a rampage. So do you think he knew that was going to be the finish?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
he had to, right?
Like, yeah. I mean, this isn't a screw job. This is just a bullshit. And this was when Gagne decided not to let him have the belt. And that apparently in Hogan's autobiography, he had planned to actually not leave yet. He had still planned to stay there and have a third match with Bockwinkel in a steel cage. That was supposedly going to happen. And that was actually, Gagne was going to use Bockwinkel versus Hogan in a steel cage to actually start pushing into the New York territory. So that's how strong the AWA is at this time, that they're looking to go at WWF in New York. But that didn't pan out because Vince made that phone call and told Hogan, I will give you the belt right away. You're my man.
Interesting.
And Hogan couldn't say no to that. I mean, I bet you he probably had a better deal too for the merch share and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. And more dates probably too, for more money per date.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's a fun match. It's a big one. It's sort of an important one. Anything else to say about that one before we wrap up the show? There's one more match on the card. It's sort of a bit of an afterthought.
The next match, I mean, is this obvious Vern Gagne ego. Like, I think Vern Gagne possibly is the only person that has an ego bigger than Hulk Hogan at this point.
Yeah, because we've seen this before. He put himself in the last match on the Wrestle Rock show as well, right? He's like,
right, came out of retirement again to deal with the Sheik because the Sheik won't go away. This is a different Sheik. We should clarify for our listeners that this is Sheik Adnan Al-Kaisi, who is an actual Iraqi person and was known as General Adnan in WWF when he managed Sergeant Slaughter through that whole Sergeant Slaughter being an Iraqi sympathizer thing.
Yeah, apparently he was a childhood friend of Saddam Hussein. That's what Wikipedia says anyway. Fascinating. Also, good old Sheik / General Adnan is still alive and kicking at 83. I think he's the only one in this match who's still around, actually. Just pretty impressive. So this is Vern Gagne and Mad Dog Vachon versus Sheik Adnan Al-Kaisi and the Crusher Jerry Blackwell. So I guess Vern and Mad Dog are the faces in theory, but they're a strange combination.
They certainly are, and it's because Blackwell and Mad Dog had a thing going, and Blackwell has also became a Sheik, so he is Sheik Jerry Blackwell. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, clearly his Middle Eastern roots there.
Vachon is throwing some real punches.
That dude is a maniac.
He is scary. He is scary. There's no other way to put it. He is downright scary.
Well, and his daughter, Luna Vachon, was also scary. She was one of the
super
best,
talented. Yeah,
one of the best female wrestlers ever did to do it. So the thing that tripped me up with this one is both Blackwell and the Sheik have casts on their arms.
Yes, they both have suffered broken arms.
Yeah, a la good old Bob Orton, right?
Yeah.
That's very suspicious. I feel like somebody should look into this. I don't know. So it cracks me up. So they're the Sheik and Blackwell are in the ring getting ready to go, and Mad Dog and Vern come like just flying down. They're just ready to get it on. They send everybody like just running for cover out of the ring, and poor old Mean Gene tries to get over the top rope to get out of his way and gets sort of like hung up.
Yeah,
it looks kind of funny. I was like, oh, somebody help him. But no, Mad Dog starts bleeding pretty early from one of those cast shots.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's some violence.
He is gushing. He is, oh my God, there's so much blood coming out of Mad Dog Vachon's head. It's nasty. And then eventually Blackwell ends up bleeding too. Everyone bleeds except for Vern, because Vern's the money. But it's also very clear that Vern Gagne has no business in this match. He's too old, and so is kind of Mad Dog Vachon. He's kind of too old for this shit too. The only one that's not is Jerry Blackwell. But yeah, I just wasn't very entertained by this match.
No, it really wasn't. The only move that I sort of liked was Vern has a sleeper on Blackwell, and the Sheik is trying to like brain him with the cast, but Mad Dog grabs his arm and uses it to hit Blackwell, which I've never
Yeah,
seen somebody use somebody else's arm as a weapon before. So I thought that was kind of
yeah,
fun. And that's when Blackwell comes up all bloody, and then Mad Dog stretches out the Sheik's arm, and Vern climbs up on the turnbuckle and like just jumps on his arm.
yeah. Ouch! Ouch! Ouchies! Ouchies!
Didn't look good.
No,
And
that gets the win.
and it gets the win. Mean Gene tries to interview him after him, and Mad Dog is just he's like subverbal, like he's just making barking noises and
Best promo of the night. He says, "Mad Dog is crazy. He's man's best friend, and it's dog eat dog." There's only one Mad Dog Vachon, and then I just wrote, "Thank God."
Minnesota ain't big enough for two Mad Dogs.
No,
Mean Gene is sort of keeping his distance. I think he looks like Mad Dog might bite him.
there's a lot of blood.
Anyway, yeah, no, this was a fun event. It's a historic event. It's a little hit or miss on the quality, I would say. But did you have a favorite match from all these?
My favorite match, it's going to be a first for this podcast. My favorite match is the women's tag match, the Julie Martin and Velvet McIntyre versus Joyce Grable and Wendy Richter. That match is money.
Yeah.
This is, again, when we want to see good semi-gimmick tag matches, the AWA is what puts it out. The AWA had that incredible little person tag match at the Wrestle Rock. And now they have this incredible women's tag match where they really let them work, and it's like real wrestling. It's not like any kind of like weird, dumbed down women's wrestling like you get from a lot of folks these days, where there's like cartwheels into the turnbuckle or weird little things like that. This is tough. This is broken nails. This is hair pulling. This is vicious grappling and tying up, and good meanness too out of the heels. I love this match.
Yeah, I think this would be my favorite too, actually. Those ladies just they fucking get it on. They like get two shits, and it's violent, and it's also but it's well done, it's well choreographed, and very enjoyable. If I had to pick a worst, I might actually pick Lawler versus the Golden Greek. Or maybe that last tag match. I don't know. What about you?
I mean, I hate to put Jerry Lawler in that spot, but I think I am. I think I am. I think I have to, just because like John Tolis isn't a good opponent for Jerry Lawler at this point. He doesn't have the personality. Like Lawler is all personality in the ring. As much as we say how he sounded so dry and boring when he did commentary afterwards, he's a face. He's a guy that like works off the crowd energy, and John Tolis just wasn't throwing that back at him as a bad guy. Like Tolis needs to cheat, like legit cheat, and then like turn to the crowd and get them riled up over it, and that's when Lawler shines, and that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's the old wrestler versus sports entertainer thing, right? It's like,
yeah,
you gotta both be playing the same game, and they're not really. Did you flag any kind of oh shit moment? Did anything really pop you as you were watching this one?
Yeah. So I didn't know that the Hogan match had a dirty, dusty finish
Nice.
until I watched it, and I was like, oh shit. I think if I were in that crowd, I'd be like ripping my seat up and throwing it at the ring. Like, just, I can't handle this. This is horrible. This is, it's like one of the few times of like watching something that we've done for this show where I didn't know the finish, and I literally said, well, that's bullshit. That is bullshit, damn it. Like,
It's a bad one. Like I'm not a huge fan of like the dusty finish, but there are times when it's okay, right? And I felt like this one was sort of half-assed.
Yeah, so like the first Dusty finish that they pulled on him, it's actually like 6 days later where they decide to where they decide to use a technicality to strip him of the belt. So that was a year before this match in '82. Hogan beats Bockwinkel with a foreign object that Bobby Heenan had tossed into the ring. And Hogan, they try to say that, well, like both of them got hit by the foreign object, so it's fair. But like they're like, nope, Bockwinkel's champion. Like, oh, what bullshit, you know? So, but then like seeing it happen here, where and it's all happens in front of the crowd. It's like, oh my god, this is bullshit. And like beautiful heat though. Oh my god. It's such beautiful heat for guys that like want to like focus on wrestling instead of the story time. This is juicy heat for that time period. So
Yeah, no, that's great. And the trash flying after that decision is announced, Hogan going just fucking ape shit on Nick, tossing Heenan out of the ring. There's some good stuff there. I like
and
that a
then
lot.
throwing the belt down in the center of the ring and like challenging people to try and come take it from him, like good stuff.
Yeah, it's like I'm watching this. I'm like, do we like Hulk Hogan now? Like, I don't.
Look, here's the deal. Hulk Hogan the person is pretty much seemingly a piece of shit.
Yeah,
Hulk Hogan the performer, it doesn't get any better.
yeah.
We just haven't. You just don't have that level of charisma. He's still basking in kayfabe, so like he can get away with a lot of this stuff. And these days there's too much looking from the outside at things. And this back then, everything you were in it, and you can't help but see Hulk Hogan. And when you put yourself into it and like really invest and watch, there's no one more entertaining to watch in this time period than Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, he got it right. He understood what he was there to do, and he deserves every bit of his fame and acclaim from this period. You know, I mean, with you as a person, yeah, whatever, and his recollections or maybe his sort of self aggrandizing kind of tendencies in the years since have kind of, I think, made a lot of people sort of annoyed with him. But
Yeah,
it doesn't take away, like, when you watch this stuff, like just how how good at it he was, and also how he stood out, you know, like his look
yeah,
and his the work was like, the work was beside the point almost, right?
yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's very similar to how we've talked about Lex Luger in the NWA Jim Crockett promotion stuff, to where like Luger looked so different than everybody else, and Hogan here looks so different than anybody else on the card. And when we watched that event from Madison Square Garden on January 23rd, 1984, he looks different than anybody else on that card as well. It's not until later to where people are basically ripping off his look and doing and stuff like that, and his gimmick, kind of like everything after he starts doing that stuff, it kind of like every face has a Hulk up, every like a comeback look, and they're all muscular and they're all built and jacked, and they're baby oil and they're tanning and stuff like that. Like nobody else was doing that stuff until Hogan. And then the issue is that like WrestleMania 3 is the peak. Hogan doesn't have a better opponent than Andre the Giant after that moment. They're like Ultimate Warrior is kind of close, but then what? Sergeant Slaughter,
yeah,
Sid,
yeah.
Macho Man.
I was gonna
Macho
say,
Man's all right,
yeah, I was gonna say the only thing that gets close is the whole Macho Powers mega, or whatever, the Macho
Yeah, the Mega Powers
Powers.
split.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
and because for sheer look and just over the topness, and an opponent who could work in the ring, you can't do much better than Macho Man, right? So like, that one for me is like, is kind of right under the Andre.
And I mean, it's no coincidence that when Hogan finally leaves the WWF and goes over to WCW, his first, like after they get the dream match of Ric Flair out of the way, his first big confrontation is with the Giant,
Mm-hmm.
Paul White, Big Show. And they, at that time, they're booking Paul White as Andre the Giant's son.
I mean, that's a natural, right? It's Fast
They
and Furious 7.
right. That's how legendary the WrestleMania 3 match is that 10 years after it in a different promotion, they're trying to still milk it.
And as we always do, we like to wrap up by paying tribute to the men and women we've seen in this show who are no longer with us. So our in memoriam for AWA Super Sunday from 1983 includes Mean Gene Okerlund, Rod Trongard, John Tolos, Wahoo McDaniel, Blackjack Lanza, Nick Bockwinkel, Lord James Blears, Vern Gagne, Mad Dog Vachon, Crusher of Jerry Blackwell, Walter Wally Carbo, co-founder of the AWA, Stanley Blackburn, AWA president, and Bobby Heenan. Anyway, well, this has been fun to talk about. I'm glad we had a chance to dig into it. I hope you all have enjoyed it as well. If you have any thoughts or comments about this, of course, you can find us at allthewrestlemanias.com. You can find us on Twitter at WrestleManiaPod. You can shoot us an email at allthewrestlemanias@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, of course, and on Instagram. If you'd like to drop us a few shekels to help support our audio equipment habit, you can find us at ko-fi.com/allthewrestlemanias. Did I get that right?
You did.
Oh, look at that.
Nailed it.
That's from memory too. And we love to hear from you. Love to get your feedback. I'm happy to take requests for shows that you want to hear. So we hope you will take some time and check out our various channels and engage with us. So for now, I'm your co-host Tim.
I'm your co-host Rich.
And we are going to bask in Hulkamania some more, and we'll say so long, everybody.